He's my Jack Bauer. I mean, he was my eyes and ears. I'd use all of his scouting reports and all of his information. It was a huge help for me.
All right, first possession right off the jump. I deny one pass away. All right, and then on the catch, he cuts off half the court, forcing him left, not letting him get right. I feel as though instead of squaring up, allowing him to go either direction, now forcing him one direction, cuts off half the court for him. On the dribble, he's at the hip. All right, active hands, and now the ball's out of his hands. Next clip, wide pin down, top locks it, chases, makes it play in the ball on the pick and roll, stays connected, and then helps on the drive again. They score, but look what he did on the whole possession. Top locks it, chases, doesn't die on any screens, helps on the ball handler, gets back to his, and then helps on the ball handler again. Most important finish on any defensive assignment. All right, contesting every shot. Shooters shoot 7 to 17% less. You got to be able to contest every look in your area. All right, doesn't leave his feet, doesn't hit, no foul. All right, this time he squares him up instead of tries to take one side away. He shows ref his hands, brings him into the help, and gets the stop. Remember, always show the referee your hands. Always try to get up on the ball handler, but force him one direction. This way, he gives him too many options, gives him right and left, but stays with it, shows the ref his hands, gets to the hip, brings him into the help, and now Kawhi's going to have to finish over two guys. They get the stop. All right, next clip. Jumps up on the ball on the pick and roll, and then active hands and gets a deflection. That's what you got to do. You got to have active hands. You got to constantly show hands, and you have to be a presence there. And that's what he is. Gets a hand on it, and they're off to the races. Defense in the mid post. Now, sometimes you're going to get scored on, and that's what he does here. Face up, but watch the active hands. Follows the ball, and then contests the shot at the end. Makes it, hey, look, you're going to get scored on, no doubt. I mean, no one's going to be perfect defensively, but the technique. Hands off his sides, mirroring the ball, not giving him any space. Up on him, and then forces him into that dribble drive, and then contests the shot at the end. That's a hell of a defensive possession, regardless of make or miss. All right, next clip, transition, matches up right away, takes away all his space, contests the shot. Now he's got a tough contested three, and he gets the stop. But again, matches up right away. Takes away all his space. Hands are out. All right, that's where your hands need to be. Your arms need to be defensively. They can't be by your sides. They got to be up just to be able to contest a shot quicker, be able to get a hand in the passing lane, and be able to defend a drive and show the ref your hands without fouling. Does a great job here in the contest and gets a stop. Next clip, great example of staying on your feet. All right, fights through the screen roll. Change direction, all right, active hands, gets to the hip, stays down. Now he's got to give the ball because he doesn't go for the fake. Lopez three-point shot miss. They get the stop. But the biggest part of this possession, all right, change direction, gets to the hip, is not leaving your feet. Too many players likes to leave their feet with fakes in the paint. He stays right there, hand in the passing lane. If he's going to shoot, he got him contested. He's staying down. He's not going for any fakes, no step-throughs. And now he can't do anything in the paint. And now they got to swing the ball around for a missed three up top. All right, not highlight clips. He's caught ball watching here. Up top, watching the ball. Kawhi just cuts right in front of him. All right, that's why you never ball watch. You always got to see ball and man just because you never know when someone's going to run through. And on offense, I always teach, if you're seeing a jersey number or a name in the back, you got to cut. If they're not paying attention to you, you got to make them pay for it. Cut in for a layup, cut in to force someone else to bump you, to open up a shot for someone else, or offensive rebound. Next clip, coming off the pin down, stays connected, gets to the hip, stays down, contests the shot. That's almost perfect defense right there. All right, gets hit, still chases off the screen, doesn't die on the screen, stays connected, gets to the hip because he knows the help's there. So just get to the hip so he can't go middle, keep him to his left, and then until he can get back in the play, stays on his feet, doesn't go for any fakes, and then contests the shot. into a tough shot. Regardless of miss or make, this is great technique. All right, next clip. Kawhi catches up top, screen roll, fights through, side view challenge. Doesn't contest the shot, but still stays connected. No foul, doesn't swipe down, just stays close enough to make it tough on him. He's got the help right here, so he just brings him into Curry, and then he forces a tough shot. Get the stop. All right, next clip. Simple technique. Guard and pick and roll, contains Garland, contests the three, no foul. That's all you want to do, defend that pick and roll. You want to get in front of the guard. All right, you want to be in position where you could help off if you're not going to switch and you can get back to yours. He stays in front of Garland. All right, contests, no foul. They get the stop. This is being locked in. It's not a stop, but it just stops him from getting the ball. Stays connected. They try to hand off, mirrors the ball, and now they can't go to him. Now they got to go to someone else. They end up scoring on the play, but that's just being locked in, or not having your man guard, touch the ball. Again, staying connected, staying attached, try to hand off, and then that little move right there to just have active hands in the passing lane stops him from getting it to Kawhi. Now look, they score, but you take the ball out of one of the best offensive players in the league's hands and force it to give it to someone else because of the fact that you're locked in to denying the ball and getting in the passing lane. That's great defense. All right, next clip. Connected into him, takes away space, and then once he picks the dribble up, all right, he takes away all space, smothers him, and then gets a deflection. Could have been a foul, no doubt about it. But still, took away all his space, active hands, taking away passing lanes, and then trying to strip the ball at the end when he picks his dribble up. That's tenacious defense right there. All right, next clip. Look at the activity. On ball, switch. All right, active hands, stays in front, switch, and then makes a play in the ball. That is an all-time defensive play right there. Just all into him, switching, get back, get to the hip, switch again, and then make a play in the ball. That's big-time defense right there. Next clip gets scored on in transition. All right, the one thing I will say technique-wise, all right, as he's making a play in the ball, he stays straight up, verticality. All right, doesn't swipe down on the ball, just tries to make a play, doesn't swipe down and foul. So, yeah, they had to earn it. They had a tough shot, a tough finish, but doesn't foul and make it easy for him. Again, sometimes it's not an exciting play. It's just doing something simple. All right, here they try to screen him. He fights right through that, gets to the hip. All right, Kawhi travels. They don't call it, gets to the hip again, forces the ball out of his hands, and now Lopez got to make a play, and they got to stop. And that's what it's about. It's not about getting a steal, a block, a charge on every possession. Sometimes just doing the right thing and forcing the ball out of the best player's hands, which he does here now. All right, great hands, great pressure, and then forces the ball out, and now they're forced to make a play. Contested three, left corner, made. Again, contested, forced into a tough shot. You're not going to get stops on every possession, but being able to contest a shot. Most shooters shoot 7 to 17% less when contested versus not. So everything in the area has to be contested. They're going to make some tough shots, but you just got to make sure it's contested and you don't foul. Another example of great ball pressure. Forcing left, hands are off of his sides. All right, he forces left in the screen roll, backs up, ball pressure, active hands, forces a turnover. But here, we talked about this. Instead of being squared up, force in one direction. Taking away his right hand, force him to his left. Hands are off his side so he can get a deflection. He can contest a shot, get a deflection, in passing lane. And if he does drive to the basket, his hands are off his side, so it's a less chance of him going to hold on the drive. Coming on the drive, again, ball pressure, doesn't give him any space, and then tries to mirror the ball, and then the off-ball defenders take care of it. Again, you don't have to get a charge, a steal, a block, any type of defensive possession. Sometimes it's just getting the ball out of the best player's hands. All right, ball pressure, forces him left, gets in front, active hands, and then he can't make a play. So now they're forced to give it to somebody else. Golden State gets the stop and comes up with the ball. But again, Ball pressure, constant pressure, all right, forcing in one direction, having a plan, active hands, and taking away space. Active hands to get at the ball, no foul, and now someone else has to make a play instead of the best player in the team. Off-ball defense, ball staying connected, keeping the pressure on, and having active hands. And that's what he does here, and then forces the turnover. Doesn't die on screens, fights through everything, all right, gets through things. Not a perfect player, of course, but watch this. They try to screen him, all right, he fights through that, stays connected, can't get the ball in, and then active hands, getting that hand in the passing lane. That's great defense. Great defense. Next play. Just hands off his sides, ball pressure, and then comes up with the steal. Just an elite defender. Hands are off his sides so he can react quicker. Can't have your hands by his sides. All right, gotta get him off your sides and just be active with him. He tries to make the change of direction, pokes away, uses that length and size. Great defensive play.